Let the stars fall. Though it takes the last drop of my blood.
Imagine a civilization so advanced, they believed they'd mastered the cosmos. Now picture that same civilization torn apart, fractured into 3 distinct factions. This isn't just a cautionary tale, it's the tragic history of the Eldar. Their story is a cosmic drama that puts our own struggles into perspective. As we explore their past, you'll see how their pursuit of perfection led to a catastrophe that's echoed across millennia. It's like watching the most dysfunctional family reunion ever played out on a galactic stage. Ready to unravel this interstellar saga? Let's embark on a journey through space and time that'll leave you questioning the nature of civilization itself. Alright, let's take a journey back in time to the golden age of the Eldar. Picture a civilization so advanced that death itself was nothing more than an inconvenience. Sounds pretty sweet, right? Well, this story is about to take a wild turn. The ancient Eldar lived in a reality where anything they desired was within reach. These guys were so far beyond the curve that it was a distant memory. Their technological mastery was mind-boggling. Imagine cities with a consciousness, adapting to their inhabitants' needs in real time. The Eldar didn't just build cities, they created living, breathing works of art, but their prowess didn't stop at the physical realm. The Eldar had the warp wrapped around their little fingers. They could reshape reality itself with a thought. Need a new planet? No problem. Want to rearrange a solar system? Easy peasy. The Eldar were essentially gods in all but name, and they weren't shy about flexing those divine muscles. Now you might be thinking, wow, these Eldar had it made. And you'd be right, sort of. See, here's the thing about having everything you could ever want. Eventually, you run out of things to want. It's like reaching the peak of a mountain only to find a looming abyss on the other side. As the Eldar Empire sprawled across the galaxy, a strange restlessness began to take hold. They had conquered every challenge, achieved every goal. What do you do when you've done it all? For the Eldar, the answer was simple: push the boundaries. And boy, did they push. It started innocently enough. A little extra excitement here, a new experience there. But soon the Eldar were diving headfirst into an ocean of excess that would make even the most debaucherous human parties look like tea time with grandma. They began to seek out new thrills, pushing the limits of pleasure and pain to heights never before imagined. But here's the kicker. While the Eldar were busy throwing the biggest, wildest party the galaxy had ever seen, something sinister was stirring in the warp. All that excess, all that indulgence. It was like ringing the dinner bell for the darker forces of the Immaterium. And trust me, when the warp gets hungry, you don't want to be on the menu. As the Eldar's decadence grew, so did this dark presence in the warp. It fed on their excesses, growing stronger with every act of hedonism. The Eldar, in their arrogance, either didn't notice or didn't care. They were too caught up in their own pleasures to see the danger looming on the horizon. It's a classic case of too much of a good thing. The very power that had allowed the Eldar to conquer the galaxy was now threatening to be their undoing. Their golden age, which had seemed eternal and unshakable, was revealed to be built on a foundation of sand, and that foundation was starting to crumble. So there you have it. The Eldar, once the undisputed masters of the galaxy, had unknowingly set themselves on a path to destruction. Their incredible achievements, their vast empire spanning the stars, all of it was about to come crashing down in the most spectacular and horrifying way imaginable. Now let's talk about the cataclysmic jolt that changed the galaxy forever. Remember how the Eldar were pushing the boundaries of excess? Well, they were about to learn that sometimes you really can have too much of a good thing. As the Eldar's hedonism reached its peak, something extraordinary and terrifying was happening in the warp. All that collective psychic energy was coalescing into a presence that was hungry, really hungry. One moment, the Eldar were going about their business, probably planning their next galaxy-spanning rave. The next, trillions of Eldar souls were snuffed out in an instant. We're talking about an extinction-level event here, folks. The psychic backlash was so intense that it literally tore a hole in reality itself. This cosmic catastrophe gave birth to Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess. Slaanesh's birth cry echoed across the galaxy, creating the Eye of Terror, a massive wound in reality where the warp and real space bleed into each other. It's like the universe's worst acne scar, except instead of being a minor blemish, it's a swirling maelstrom of chaos and madness. But here's the kicker. The surviving Eldar weren't out of the woods yet. Slaanesh had developed quite the appetite for Eldar souls. Suddenly, these once immortal beings found their very essence at risk of being devoured by the god they had inadvertently created. Talk about a cosmic case of be careful what you wish for, right? This cataclysmic event, known as the Fall, shattered the Eldar. Their vast civilization, which had stood for millions of years, was reduced to fragments in the blink of an eye. It was as if someone had taken a sledgehammer to a priceless crystal sculpture. The pieces were still there, but the whole, that was gone forever. Let's break down what this meant for the survivors. First off, their population was decimated. We're talking about going from a galaxy-spanning empire to a handful of refugees in the cosmic blink of an eye. Secondly, their very nature as a species was altered. The carefree immortality they once enjoyed, gone. Now every Eldar lived with the knowledge that upon death, their soul was in danger of being consumed by Slaanesh. This new reality forced the surviving Eldar to adapt in ways they never imagined. Some fled to massive spacefaring vessels called craft worlds, developing strict codes of behavior and psychic disciplines to avoid attracting Slaanesh's attention. Others disappeared into the webway, a labyrinthine dimension between real space and the warp, eventually becoming the enigmatic Harlequins or the sadistic Dark Eldar. And let's not forget about the physical changes to the galaxy itself. The Eye of Terror became a stronghold for the forces of chaos, a beachhead from which they could launch attacks on the material universe. Imagine having a neighbor who's not just noisy and obnoxious, but actively trying to destroy reality as we know it. That's the kind of neighbor the Eye of Terror is to the rest of the galaxy. The birth of Slaanesh and the fall of the Eldar didn't just reshape their civilization, it reshaped the entire galactic playing field. It marked the end of the Eldar's dominance and paved the way for younger races like humanity to rise to prominence. But it also introduced a new terrifying player to the cosmic game, Chaos, with its newest and most flamboyant champion, Slaanesh. Let's talk about the craft world Eldar, the space monks with guns who turned their backs on excess and embraced a life of rigid discipline. Imagine if your entire species decided to become ascetics overnight. That's essentially what happened to these survivors of the fall. The craft worlds, once massive trading vessels and pleasure ships, transformed into arcs of salvation as the fall loomed. These world ships now roam the galaxy, each a self-contained civilization housing millions of Eldar. But life aboard a craft world is far from the hedonistic paradise of their ancestors. The craft world Eldar face a unique challenge. How do you rebuild a civilization when your very emotions could doom you to a fate worse than death? Their solution? The path system, a way of life emphasizing rigid self-control and laser-focused dedication. Each Eldar chooses a path, dedicating themselves to a specific role or skill. They might become a warrior, an artisan, or even a bone singer, those who shape the psychoreactive material called Wraithbone. They pursue this path with single-minded intensity, becoming true masters of their chosen field. When they feel they've learned all they can, they move on to a new path, starting the process all over again. It's important to note that this isn't just a career choice, it's a means of survival. By channeling their passionate natures into these focused pursuits, the craft world Eldar hope to avoid the kind of unchecked excess that led to their empire's downfall. It's a stark contrast to their ancestors' hedonistic lifestyle, trading unlimited freedom for the safety of strict self-discipline. But don't think for a second that this makes the craft world Eldar weak or passive. When war calls, they are a force to be reckoned with. Those who walk the path of the warrior become aspect warriors, each aspect embodying a different facet of their war god, Cain. From the lightning-fast howling banshees to the stoic dark reapers, these warriors are living weapons, their skills honed to perfection through centuries of practice. At the head of craft world society are the Farseers, powerful psychers who walk the path of the seer. These enigmatic figures can glimpse possible futures, guiding their people through the treacherous currents of fate. But this power comes at a great cost. The longer a Farseer uses their abilities, the more they crystallize, slowly turning to stone from the inside out. The craft worlds themselves are marvels of Eldar technology. Each is a self-sufficient ecosystem, powered by the energies of captured suns and maintained by ancient systems that are part mechanical, part psychic. The heart of each craft world is the Infinity Circuit, a vast psychic network that serves as a repository for the souls of dead Eldar, protecting them from Slaanesh's eternal hunger. Yet despite their incredible technology and disciplined lifestyle, the craft world Eldar are a dying race. Their population is dwindling, every loss keenly felt. Much of their most advanced technology is irreplaceable, relics of a bygone era that they can maintain but no longer recreate. It's a poignant reminder of how far they've fallen from the heights of their civilization. The craft world Eldar's story is one of survival against impossible odds. They've traded the careless joy of their ancestors for a life of constant vigilance and self-denial. Every day is a struggle against their own nature, a battle to avoid the fate that befell their kin. It's a stark lesson in the consequences of unchecked excess and the price of survival in a hostile universe. Remember how we said the craft worlds were arcs of salvation? Well, some Eldar looked at impending doom and decided to take a different path. Let's explore the dark city of Commorragh, where excess is a twisted survival strategy. While their cousins fled to the craft worlds, these Eldar, now known as the Drukhari or Dark Eldar, retreated into the Webway. This maze-like dimension between real space and the warp became their new home, with Commorragh at its heart. A city that makes the worst hive world look positively inviting. You might wonder, how did these guys survive the birth of Slaanesh? It's all about location. The Webway provided a buffer, shielding the Drukhari from the worst of the psychic backlash. But they didn't escape unscathed. Their souls are slowly being drained by Slaanesh, and they've found a horrifying solution. The Drukhari discovered they could stave off this soul drain by inflicting pain and suffering on others. Imagine an entire society built on the concept of hurt others to live longer. It's a cosmic pyramid scheme of agony, with every Drukhari clawing their way up by pushing others down. This need for suffering has warped every aspect of Drukhari culture. Their technology, once the pinnacle of Eldar achievement, has become an arsenal of torture. Weapons keep victims alive far longer than nature intended, while regeneration devices bring captives back from the brink of death to restart the process. It's a fusion of science and sadism that would make even hardened inquisitors recoil. The Drukhari have turned cruelty into an art form. Their society is a nightmarish reflection of the old Eldar Empire, where backstabbing is the norm, assassinations are a valid form of career advancement, and political maneuvering often ends in bloodshed. At the top sit the Archons, masters of the cabals that form Drukhari society's backbone. These ancient beings are so steeped in evil that they make Machiavelli look like a schoolyard bully. Under them are the succubi, queens of gladiatorial arenas, and the homunculi, flesh sculptors who push biology to horrifying extremes. The Drukhari can't sustain themselves on their own population alone. That's where the rest of the galaxy comes in. They conduct lightning-fast raids into real space, their ships materializing to snatch slaves before vanishing again. These aren't simple pirates. They're hunting for bodies and souls to feed their insatiable appetites. Despite their power and cruelty, the Drukhari live in constant fear. Slaanesh is always there, lurking at the edges of their consciousness. Every Drukhari knows that if they don't keep topping up with others' suffering, their soul will wither and be devoured by the Dark Prince. It's a nightmare existence, always one step ahead of oblivion. You might think, why don't they change? Find another way. But that's the tragedy of the Drukhari. They're so far gone, so addicted to their lifestyle of excess and cruelty that they can't imagine any other way of living. They're the embodiment of the worst aspects of the old Eldar Empire, a cautionary tale of what happens when a species refuses to learn from its mistakes. Picture this: cosmic jesters who are equal parts deadly assassins and interstellar theater troops. The Harlequins are about to take center stage, and their performance might just rewrite the fate of the galaxy. Let's start with a mind-bending fact. The Harlequins serve Segarak, the Laughing God, one of the few Eldar gods to survive the fall. Segarak's wicked sense of humor is reflected in his followers, who balance on the knife edge between light and dark, order and chaos. These colorful performers aren't just putting on shows for fun. Their elaborate dances are psychically charged rituals that can alter reality. Imagine a ballet, where every pirouette reshapes the fabric of the universe. That's the kind of power we're dealing with here. But don't be fooled by their flamboyant costumes. In battle, Harlequins are terrifyingly effective. They use holographic disguises and seemingly impossible acrobatics to confuse and slaughter their enemies. It's like fighting a troupe of reality-bending ninja clowns. Good luck with that. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Harlequins is their access to the Black Library. This isn't some dusty collection of banned books. It's a secret repository hidden deep within the Webway, containing knowledge so dangerous it could unravel the universe if misused. The Harlequins hold the keys to this cosmic archive, preserving the darkest secrets of the galaxy. So what's the endgame for these space performers? They're working towards the grand finale of the universe itself. The Harlequins see all of existence as one big cosmic play, and they're setting the stage for the final act. This isn't just about putting on a good show. The stakes couldn't be higher. They're risking everything, walking a tightrope between salvation and damnation, all to secure a future where the Eldar might be free from the curse of Slaanesh. When Harlequins perform, they're preserving the entire history of the Eldar race. Each dance, gesture, and costume is layered with meaning. It's a living, breathing historical record that can also kick your butt 6 ways to Sunday. The Harlequins' mastery of the webway gives them another edge. While other Eldar use it for travel, the Harlequins treat it like their personal playground. They zip in and out of real space at will, appearing where they're least expected and vanishing just as quickly. This unpredictability makes them a wild card in the grand scheme of things. But for all their power and mystery, the Harlequins aren't invincible. They're still Eldar, walking the same dangerous path as the rest of their race. One misstep, one moment of doubt, and they could find themselves face to face with the hungry god they've spent millennia outrunning. The Harlequins don't limit their performances to Eldar audiences. They appear all over the galaxy, putting on shows for humans, Tao, and even orcs. Every performance, every battle, every interaction is part of their grand plan. They're rehearsing for the ultimate cosmic spectacle, and everyone's got a part to play, whether they know it or not. The Eldar, once masters of the galaxy, now teeter on the brink of oblivion. Their story isn't just one of decline. It's a cosmic struggle for survival that could reshape the very fabric of the universe. As we dive into this saga, we're left wondering, will the Eldar fade into myth or rise from their ashes stronger than ever? The Eldar's plight is as dire as it gets. Slaanesh, the chaos god born from their past excesses, looms over them like a cosmic predator, ready to devour their souls at the slightest misstep. This existential threat has fractured the Eldar into distinct factions, each desperately seeking their own path to salvation. The craft world Eldar cling to their rigid path system, hoping discipline will be their salvation. The Drukhari, lurking in the shadows of Commorragh, refuse to give up their twisted ways, believing their cruel practices are the key to survival. And the Harlequins, they dance to their own mysterious tune, their motives as enigmatic as ever. Enter the Inari, a new faction that's turned the Eldar world upside down. They propose a radical solution, awakening Yennead, a death god to challenge Slaanesh. It's a plan as controversial as it is audacious, dividing the Eldar even further. Many fear abandoning their current ways, seeing the Inari's path as a leap into the unknown. But internal strife is just the beginning of the Eldar's troubles. The galaxy, it seems, has conspired to make their situation even more precarious. The Necrons, ancient rivals of the Eldar, are stirring from their million-year slumber. These soulless machines are none too pleased to find the galaxy changed in their absence, and they're bringing planet-destroying weaponry to voice their displeasure. As if that weren't enough, a new menace looms on the horizon. The Tyranid hive fleets, cosmic locusts that devour entire worlds, are expanding into Eldar territory. This threat isn't just about losing ground, it's about losing entire planets to these all-consuming swarms. Faced with these mounting dangers, some Eldar turn to their past for answers. Ancient prophecies speak of reincarnating their pantheon of gods, a desperate gambit that seems less far-fetched with each passing day. Others focus on the present, fighting tooth and nail to preserve what remains of their civilization. The Eldar's struggle raises profound questions about the nature of civilization and redemption. Can a species that has fallen so far find its way back? Is there hope for those who've teetered on the brink of oblivion? As we watch this cosmic drama unfold, it's hard not to draw parallels to our own history. The Eldar's story serves as a stark reminder that even the mightiest can fall, and that the road to redemption is long and fraught with peril. What does the future hold for the Eldar? Will they find a way to unite in the face of these threats? Or will their divisions be their undoing? As they race against time, fighting both internal and external battles, the fate of an entire species hangs in the balance. The next chapter in the Eldar's story will undoubtedly shape the destiny of the entire galaxy. Let's reflect on the Eldar's incredible journey, a mirror to our own civilization. From their golden age to their fall, they remind us that no empire is eternal. Yet even in their darkest hour, the Eldar adapted and survived, like a cosmic phoenix slowly rising from the ashes. Their story isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a beacon of hope. The Eldar's resilience shows us that even in the face of cosmic horror, there's always a way forward. As we ponder their fate, let's consider our own choices. What decisions are we making today that could shape our tomorrow? Are we learning from the Eldar's mistakes or unknowingly following in their footsteps?